Good morning, my loves. Happy Sunday. It is a glorious day here at the lake. Let me give you a quick. Finn is on lake patrol. He takes his job very seriously, as we all know. So I will tell you right now, I'm going to piss some folks off. I know it, but I got to say it because I'm not the only one thinking this. So, Thanksgiving holiday. A lot of people here have gone, to see family, relatives, whatever. A lot of people are gone. However, a lot of people are here, such as myself, and some of us work from home still. I have been seeing clients. I've been working on some legal cases, just the usual mischief I get into. However, kids are out of school. Some kids are visiting family. Some kids are just, their families live here. There are some kids here that are notorious, and they're young. They're, this particular duo is probably 8 and 10. And everybody knows who they are. They are unsupervised. And it's just sad, the direction I see this going, because I work with a lot of families and kids who have issues, emotional issues, kids that end up being involved in child trafficking. It is a real deal, people. And yeah, as early as 8 and 10, because a groomer sees them as a commodity, something they can make money off of. They don't care that that's just a little kid. So here's what happened. Here's where I'm going to piss some folks off. So get ready to be mad at me. I don't care. So yesterday I'm working and Finn is staring out the window as he loves to do because he is not allowed outside. I rescued him from abuse here where he was being kicked and, he was a stray. People were being awful to him. So I rescued him. He's in excellent health. He's doing great. Never allowed outside again. So you can always tell when someone that has traumatized him is outside. He is the sweetest natured cat. If he growls and hisses and, fluffs up and gets his fur up, there's a problem. So I'm working, at my computer and he's watching the world outside and he starts growling and hissing and runs as hard as he can and hides under the bed. So I know there's a problem. So I take a peek and it's these two boys. Not surprising. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of keep my eye on them and see what's going on. And I took a break. I decided I need to take the garbage out anyway. So I'm getting everything together and I hear things being thrown against the windows. Okay. We know what's going on. Little boys being little boys. They're throwing things at windows. They're throwing things at, rocks and pine cones at the lake. So I lock up the apartment. Yes, when I take the garbage out, if I go over to get the mail, this area is so unsafe, I have to lock my apartment just to go a few feet away. So I lock up, take the trash out. I'm coming back, and they're looking in my neighbor's windows. My neighbors are gone. And my first floor neighbor, and they're on their patio. And I said, hey, guys, you might not want to do that. That's really not very cool. And I don't think the leasing office would be very happy about it, and neither would the people that live there. The kids voiced their displeasure at my interest. Okay, fine, whatever. Come back in, get back to work. And then I hear this really bizarre sound right outside my door. I'm on the second floor. And I don't know how, it's thump, 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 thump. And then a lot of laughter. So God only knows what they're up to. So I look out a window. They're riding their bike down the stairs. And then as you hit the bottom, where the stairs end and the grass starts, they're shooting off and they're either going to hit a tree or they're going to go into the lake. Okay. Now, what do you do? I watched them to see if maybe it was a one-time thing. They were doing it over and over and over. So I step out and said, hey guys, I know you think you're having a lot of fun. I'm a nurse. This is all fun and games until you fall, until you break your nose, you break your arm, you have a concussion, you hit the tree, you fly into the lake. It's not so much fun anymore. And the oldest one looked at me and said, yeah, that's what I've heard. Are you done? Okay. Not my kid. Okay. I do let the leasing office know what's going on. And the reason I do that, I'm not just a mean old lady, because I know when these kids get hurt, I know the parents are going to automatically file suit against the apartment complex. Absolutely. Honey, it's not the apartment complex that you're not watching your child, that you're not controlling your child. That's not right. They shouldn't have to have signs up that says, do not ride your bike on stairs. The kids are 8 and 10 years old. A 10-year-old knows right from wrong. An 8-year-old should know. A 10-year-old definitely knows, doesn't care. And these kids, like I said, are notorious, especially the older one. I don't know how many times I pulled in. There's 16 buildings here, so it's a nice size complex. And you pull in, and they will be on their scooters or bikes, and they're coming right at you fast. So you're going like 5 miles an hour because it's a parking lot, and there's people, there's pets, all kinds of things, and they're coming right at you. I mean, just right at your grill. And you stop, and for them, it's a game of chicken because they know you're not going to hit them, and they will get as close as they can to you before they swerve. Yeah. Now, if they get hurt, what's the parent going to do? They're coming after you. Absolutely. The kids don't understand. Maybe they do and they just don't care. Because for so many kids, this is the crux of the whole conversation. Lazy parenting, not watching your kids, not having a responsible adult watch your kid, turns into this. Kids that are just running rampant, that nobody cares. Nobody's going to watch them. They know nobody's going to watch them. How do you think they behave at school? They're probably a problem at school. And it's not because they're stupid. On the contrary, I am sure the oldest one, the younger one didn't say much of anything. The older one, the mouth, I'm sure he is very intelligent, he's probably bored in school and needs to be in a couple of advanced classes to challenge him. If he is struggling in a subject, he may need a tutor or somebody to explain things so that he can understand it instead of being told, just do the assignment, just read if you would pay attention in class. No. Teach to the child's understanding and capability. Don't just teach the curriculum. Don't vomit the lesson. Make sure the kids understand it. By the same token, make sure your kids understand the house rules. Make sure your kids understand when you say, I'm going to be back in an hour, stay in, that they stay in. Because these kids, no. They're what back in the day they would call latchkey kids. Because in the afternoons, you can tell when school's out because they start running rampant. Now, that's just the hell they created on Saturday. God only knows what this day is going to bring. And that's just Thanksgiving. They'll be off for 2 weeks over Christmas. This is not good. And my opinion, yeah, the kids are culpable. Of course they are. They're getting on people's patios. They're riding on stairs. They're looking in windows. How far is it going to take them? Or how long, I should say, is it going to take them before they're on somebody's patio and they try the patio door to see if it's open? Before they go in somebody's apartment, if they haven't already? Before they take something? A 10-year-old will know that that's wrong. They may know that it's theft, that they're stealing. I don't think they realize the ramifications of that. I'm sure he has heard the term juvenile detention or juvenile hall many, many times. I'm sure he doesn't care because people are just saying all kinds of stuff to him. He didn't care. However, if he isn't getting the attention at home, if he's being told, go play, I'm too busy, keep yourself busy till I get home from work, till I get home from shopping, so-and-so is going to keep an eye on you, so check in with them every so often. That child needs attention, positive attention from a parent, positive interaction from a parent, from an adult. And that's not me. It's not my job to parent somebody's child. It's not the community's job to parent somebody's child. It's not the school's job to parent your child. It's your job. If you have a child, that child is your first responsibility. And before somebody says, well, maybe they're a single parent. I was a single parent. I was. My parents watched my son. Absolutely. My son was not an angel. Trust me, he was a typical little boy. And if he did something wrong, there were consequences. Absolutely. But these kids are just doing whatever the hell they want. The bad thing is they're not getting the attention they need from the family. And at some point, they're going to gravitate to people who are giving them the attention they want. Those people may not be nice people. Those people may be drug dealers who are looking for kids to be drug runners, especially here in Arizona. Absolutely. Groomers. Groomers will be looking for these kids for child trafficking, for pornography. Because to a groomer or any of the bad guys, these kids are just commodities. They're just something you use, like buying a car. They'll snatch the kid and put him to work. Why not? The kids think they have it great. They don't have any rules. They can do what they want. Yeah, it's not the way it works. Because I see the other side of that. I see what ends up happening when a 10-year-old is recruited into a gang, when a 10-year-old suddenly disappears and is now working with a cartel, when a 10-year-old disappears and is now in child trafficking, making porn. Seriously, it's disgusting. It happens. It happens all the time. And you can't be mad at the child. The child is screaming for attention, for somebody to pay attention to them, to notice them. Because right now, any attention, negative attention, is better than no attention, which is why they're over here driving me nuts. Because at least I'm yelling at them. At least I know they exist, which is probably more than their parents do. They don't care. I wish there was an easy solution. There isn't. Yes, it takes a village, but it also takes the parent to give a damn. It takes the parent to put their phone down, to stop texting friends, to stop with a Netflix or Facebook, social media, whatever the hell the parent's doing. Pay attention to your child. Do something with your child. I told the kids yesterday, there's a playground at the other end of the complex. So there's a park across the street. So they would rather get in trouble and get that negative attention than anything else. They are screaming for attention. They're going to get it eventually, and it's probably not going to be the attention that they hope it is. Will the parents care? You know, I have seen parents, when it happens and their kids start getting into a lot of trouble, start stealing, start getting into drugs, start, gravitating toward gangs, the parents flip out. Well, I had no idea. Honey, everybody knew but you. Open your eyes. And then again, there are parents who don't care. There truly are parents that don't care. They have better things to do than raise their kids. And I am not saying this child's parent is like that. I'm just saying there are parents out there like that. There needs to be a solution. After school programs, possibly. That really doesn't help on weekends. But parents, come on. Find responsible people to look after your kids. Don't have your boyfriend or your girlfriend say that they will watch your kid when they're on the phone, when they're watching Netflix, when they're watching the game and your kid's out running rampant, getting in trouble. Yes, kids are accountable and they have to be held accountable for their actions, but so do the parents. So do the parents. Eventually, the parents will be evicted and they'll go to another complex and it will start all over again. Does the kid care? No, not really. They care less. Do the parents care? Maybe, probably not. Probably not the first time they've been evicted, won't be the last. Quit being apathetic. These are your babies. When you have a child, that child becomes your first priority. Not just when they're an infant or a toddler. They become your first priority the rest of your life. My son is 46. Trust me, he is still my priority. So is my granddaughter. So is my daughter-in-law. It never changes. Apathy is not an option. Apathy will land your child in jail or dead. It's up to you. Totally up to you.